In this video, we'll deal with the advantages and disadvantages of family business. Family businesses play a key role in economic development. There are many family businesses within the economy, and it's understandable in many respects that the origin of many, even of the larger businesses, starts on a very small scale. Some of them start at the family level. A desire on the part of a family member to improve their lot, improve their standard of life by opening a small business, and the business may develop and grow. And some have grown, indeed some have grown into multinationals. If we think of, for example, Guinness, starts as a small business and grows over the years, albeit over quite a long period in that case. But nonetheless, some family businesses start small and grow to be very significant indeed. This type of business contributes to many factors such as job creation, development of skills, trade and innovation. So small businesses can create work, create employment, and that's welcomed within the community. But it can also lead to the development of skills. Small businesses don't have to necessarily open corner shops or local outlets for products. They may be based on some particular skill, clockmaking or watchmaking in the olden days, or some sort of carpentry work or plumbing or whatever it was. And therefore they may have taken on apprentices, and there was the development of skills along the way, passing on knowledge. But they also may have innovated products. Sometimes small businesses come into existence and family business come into existence because a member of the family sees an opportunity. They see a product purchased and they think it could be done better. And that may be the start of a new business. Now, the advantages of family businesses. Well, there is a tight-knit family atmosphere which has a positive influence throughout the organization. It affects employees, customers, suppliers and contractors. They see the business as family-based, and therefore it has this connotation of trustworthiness, of being reliable, of easy to communicate with them. They're understandable, and they will try to accommodate. So they've got a positive image almost to start. It's a family-based business. Better communications of organization, of their goals and vision, a culture-driven type of development, a sense of belonging and strong family commitment directed towards the achievement of goals. So the business will set out what it wants to do and where it wants to be, but it's all coloured by their own experiences, the experiences within the family, the type of people they are, the community in which they live. So the business will, in a sense, reflect all of that. Strong commitment develops into flexible working practices, family members working longer hours to achieve goals. It's the case that sometimes there's more understanding within family business. They understand their employees, they understand the issues that confront the employees. They understand that women at work can't perhaps work the same hours as men because they have commitments because of school run or because of family commitments themselves. So they need more flexible working practices. But a family business can understand this, perhaps more than a large corporation. So there's a greater flexibility in working practices. They have a more accommodating style, generally speaking. Now, At least that's what the literature says about family businesses. As to whether that is what happens in practice in the 21st century is difficult to say, and is the subject of ongoing research at various universities throughout the world. There is more reluctance to take money out of the business, and that is an advantage of family business. They don't like to take a lot out of the business. They want to see the business secure. They want to support the business. It's a source of growth and enables the business to quickly respond to changing environmental conditions. The business is able to get access to the money quicker. They don't have to necessarily go to banks and borrow or mortgage their homes, or they just simply take out less because they're committed to the business, and that makes the business, in a sense, more secure. There's less pressure from stock markets to produce results. Family businesses are more focused on longer term views. The family business wants to be there for a long time. They don't have the ups and downs of the stock market. The permanent management structure allows them to develop long-term strategies. Because they're in it for the long term, they have long-term strategies. And the people who run the family businesses, the chances are they're going to be in position for a long time, and they're looking to the long term as well. So they are more stable in that sense. They have less variation. They know where they want to be. They may have to flex and bend according to current conditions and ups and downs in terms of sales and changes in raw material prices or whatever. But their commitment to the long term may be that they want to be in a certain position in 5 or 10 years' time. Family businesses display greater independence. There's no risk of takeover or stock market pressure. Family businesses may not have shares. There may be one person in charge, and the family simply relate to that one person who looks after the business and help out in the business and work within the business, and there's no formal agreement perhaps even between them. There are no contracts between them. They're just members of the family helping out. A less bureaucratic structure enables quick decision making and flexibility. Well, the small business is able to, or the family business is able to make quick decisions about what to do next. They don't have to call meetings and publish reports and do in-depth research, and they're not running multinational corporations. They're running a small business, perhaps a small local business. So they're able to make quick decisions. They're not bureaucratic. Greater innovation and resilience in hard times, willingness to reinvest profits back into the business. The chances are they're able to see off the tough market conditions probably better than the larger businesses, because there's more commitment, there's more involvement by the family in the business, and many of the family members will give their time for very little in return when times are hard, to make sure the business succeeds and is able to continue. There's loyalty to the business. Now, the disadvantages of family businesses, well, limited access to financial markets can impact on the business growth. So it's very difficult for small businesses or family businesses to grow. They don't have perhaps even an orthodox legal structure. So it's difficult for them to borrow from the bank or to raise capital. So whatever growth they experience is financed out of profits, out of what they make. Some organization structures can be seen as confusing and messy with no clear structure. allocation of roles and responsibilities. There's no clear demarcation as to who does what, or who's in charge of which bit. It's more people helping out here and there, and finding jobs to do within the organisation, and the person running it may give some direction, but assume that everyone really knows their place and what they need to do. It's not as structured or as formalized as other businesses, generally speaking. Some organizations may not account for reward systems, for training or for development opportunities. They don't. They simply make a payment, which is like a wage. Some may get a salary. It depends on how important they are within the business. Some will get paid on an ad hoc basis, but they don't really have incentive schemes and payment by results, or performance-related pay, or too sophisticated, too complicated. They don't have time for it, and they don't engage in training programs, or they don't really have development opportunities. Simply, people work at a certain level, doing a certain job, and that's it. That's where they stay. Chances are that's the type of organisation we're dealing with. Small family businesses just working to continue. They don't have the sophistication of the larger businesses. More room for conflict, mixing of personal, family and business relations. And this is really one of the big downsides, because when we think of small business, we think of lots of problems, lots of issues that small businesses confront. But here we've got an extra dimension, the family, on top of this. And families are very complex. There's a lot of perhaps tension within the family and rivalry within the family, and who's involved in the business, who's drawing out of the business, what is their commitment to the business, what have they done for the business. So it's there's more room for conflict in family businesses than even in small businesses. So more issues to deal with on that front. Financial strain from members milking the system, inequalities arising between contribution and compensation. There's always the case of people within the family pointing the finger at each other, saying, you didn't work and you got paid, and you didn't do enough and I did more than you, and I got less than you. And so this type of issue may detract from their commitment to the business or to their involvement. And sometimes family members may take the business for granted and just grant themselves their own working conditions and not necessarily work on the instructions of the owner of the business or the person managing the business. Instead, they simply allocate themselves. They feel that they're members of the family and they don't take orders. They just want to be involved and do what they consider to be necessary while they're there. So it's difficult to control the business of this type. Succession planning can also be a long and difficult process. A critical time for business can result in business failures. Succession planning is the subject matter of other videos on the course, but succession planning is very important to make sure that the business continues when the owner retires or becomes ill. But it is a very complex issue, dealing with the politics within the family, dealing with reconciling an appropriate candidate to run the business with the objectives of the owner who's retiring, the negotiations that are needed to reconcile differences, to get clarity in the functions that are to be performed by who and when, and the remuneration systems. And it's not an easy task simply to set up some sort of succession. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of family businesses, and that's all we need to do here. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.